Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health, heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney. I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and where we do encourage you to call in to join in today. I'll open them up a bit today. We're going to have a sort of an aftermath show. We were with Raymond Francis, two different shows back-to-back, Wednesday and Friday. They were excellent shows. They were about cancer. A lot of talking with Raymond off-air, as well as, well, one of the fun parts of my heart is I do get a lot of patients that I see, and actually we do cancer therapies. And we thought I'd bring to you some additional items that Raymond didn't mention, but I think each and every one of you out there who may be suffering with this disorder or may know someone, it's probably quite likely that that's the case, and trying to advise them on what they should do. I think there's a couple of additional items that just have to be mentioned, and we'll do them today. We'll do Cancer Continued. We'll also allow you to come on in and set the agenda too. Anything on your mind is okay with me. You could have questions concerning cancer therapies. Doesn't necessarily have to be anything to do with cancer at all, but just give us a ring, 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I'll be looking for that knock, listening for that knock on the door. Now, speaking of some calendar items, let's take a look. We're going to open them up to you today and then round out issues on cancer, as I mentioned already. Got to say that next Monday, that's right, 1 week from today, we'll be bringing Ed Condrad back. Dr. Edward Condrad, ophthalmologist, coming to town. The following week after that, he's going to be here actually on the 21st, which is the Sunday, with a free seminar. You all know about it. You had questions regarding whether or not there were any openings for the free seminar, which I'm almost always sure there are, but never sure about are there any openings for the treatment seminar. The number I mentioned before, I think I've even given this number before, for those of you out there who may be interested in pursuing either, why don't you give the office out there in Phoenix, it's 800 number, won't cost you anything to give them a call, but they'll be able to fill you in on a lot more of the specific details. I won't be able to. The number out there in Phoenix, 1-800-430-9328. That's 800-430-9328. And you'll be plugged in directly to Dr. Condrad's office. They'll be able to give you specific answers to questions I just can't regarding, well, as the enrollment's closed out, the availability of any additional treatment slots. I really do think that all I have to do is add chairs, so I think you could easily reserve a seat for the festivities on the 21st, which is going to be the free seminar, and then, of course, 22nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Monday through Thursday, is the actual treatment seminar itself. We're going to have Christopher Moore with us. He's going to be with us on the 17th, which is on a Wednesday, talking about what he claims are 4 advances that could end heart disease. I'm always interested when it comes to the issue of cardiovascular disease. If there are 4 advances that could end it, I sure want to hear about it. You probably want to hear about it too. That'll be on the 17th with Christopher Moore. And of course, as the month goes on, I'll be giving you some further information about filling in some additional gaps. That rounds out some scheduling. I just wanted to also mention that, well, first of all, Fruit of the Spirit, you'll be hearing those spots. Deborah will be bringing them to you, and she's always mentioning that if you have a desire to want to order this stuff, $29, pretty reasonable price. the 800 number to do it, and you can actually do it via an 800 number if you don't have a computer anyway and don't even want to work anything online. 1-800-442-3793. Call it up and they'll take all your information down. You'll be speaking to a human being. And if you prefer not to speak to a human being, which is quite likely impossible in this day of online experiences, just go to www.fruitspirit, not fruit of the, fruitspirit.net, fruitspirit.net. You'll get there, the opening page will give you a couple of prompts, and with those prompts you'll then be able to get to a screen that asks you about like, where'd you hear about it, or something like that. You click on that, and a whole bunch of doctors' names come up. I'll be one of those. You'll see my name there. Just click on it, and with that, you'll be prompted to take you to the point where you can order this stuff for the $29, as I'm saying, that it costs. And I hope you enjoy it. 14 biblical fruit purees. Tastes great, and pack a wallop in terms of nutrition. 1 ounce, equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. And because it tastes so good, you'll want to bring this in to your family or for your grandchildren, because that's always a difficult issue when it comes to supplementing, because they just don't enjoy taking certainly capsules or anything like that unless it's sweetened. Well, this is naturally sweetened. It's just the fruit purees themselves. So once again, at 1-800-442-3793 and fruitspirit.net. We'll continue to also give you some additional information about the Ciara chips. I mentioned last week on the response, the treatment response. Put that chip on a bunch of folks, and there were close to 25 who had a chip placed on them because of a pain problem, and only one did not experience some, at least to them, noticeable pain relief. And I'm very interested in the responses, but I never had the opportunity, as I did last week, to have a whole room full of people, and they all, took me up on my offer. I'll put the chip on and see how it helps you. And I've had great responses in the office, but they've been slow. They've been, one at a time. And although I've been pleased with the response, to see that response in that room last week it just brings me to say, if you want to try this yourself, remember, Ciara is the name of a company, CIEAURA, that manufactures what they call transparent holographic chips. They peel off of a wax-based paper, where when you peel it off, there's an adhesive side that just sticks to the skin. And there are 3 different problems at the present time that the company is addressing. One is the pain issue. The second is those who have difficulty in sleep, restful sleep. And the third is those who have difficulty and have no energy. I think it's one of the most common reasons I see patients in my office, for goodness sake. So any one of those 3, a chip will be of interest to you to try. If you come in to see me for any other reason, I'll be happy to place a chip on you, no charge. And if you can't get in here, if you choose not to come in here, then you can do this on your own. There is no 800 number, unfortunately. This is only done online, so you're going to have to get someone to take you to www.drcourtney.ciara, CIEAURA.com, drcourtneyciara.com. And with that, you'll see my name come up, and you can order these chips online and have them sent directly to you. That makes it easier. And let me know. Anybody who's done it, and I know a lot of people have, because I get the number of folks who are hitting the website and ordering. Be interested to hear from you to see how well these chips are working for you. That's www.drcourtney.ciara.com, and that about rounds that out. So we have opened them up to you. We're going to be talking about some additional cancer issues today, but we can divert that discussion the moment you feel like you want to not interrupt, but intervene and bring to us whatever's on your mind. We spent that time with Russ Francis. We're going to have some words about what his message was to you last week on Wednesday and Friday when he's talking about his up-and-coming book called, well, it didn't tell us what the title was. It's just about cancer and what to do about it. And I think we learned quite a bit from Raymond Francis. He evidently has a bit of credibility, having published that wonderful book, Never Be Sick Again, which has gone worldwide. The cancer book isn't available, but you got an inside look from the horse's mouth itself. And we're going to pick up on a couple additional items that Raymond didn't really emphasize, but it's right in keeping with his philosophical approach of what he says is toxicity and deficiency. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'll be listening for a knock at the door, 412-825-6262. We'll get you on in here, 412-825-6262. Also, too, I'll be talking a bit about the Raymond Francis experience. So I'll be back in just a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Well, sorry, I've got to go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shakes. Fruit of the Spirit's unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea with no added sugars. Fruit of the Spirit's unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on this Monday version of the show. Beautiful out there today, is it not? Bright, going to warm up, snows melting, receding. You're seeing the dirt right alongside the road. It's ugly, but the beauty of it was spoiled by the amount of snow, which we don't appear to have anything in the forecast in the up-and-coming near future. I think maybe, I hate to say this, maybe it's over. And anyway, glad you're here with us today on this Monday morning version of the show. We're here today to sort of open them up to you if you got a mind to it. 412-825-6262. We'll get you on in here. We do have a knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard.
Good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Yes.
My name is Teresa, and I haven't talked to you for a long time.
I know that voice. I've heard it before.
Yeah, I've talked to you very well before. And, you know, I appreciate your show. You are so enjoyable, and you bring us so much vital information from yourself, your knowledge, and your guests, and I'm grateful.
Thank you so much for that. We enjoy bringing it to you.
Sure. And I want to ask you a specific question. You once talked about a treatment. I don't know if it's appropriate for me or not.
Go ahead.
I'd have to consult with you. We'll have to see. But you said something about it almost creates new blood vessels. You have to go like several times a week, and you keep going. And
I think you're talking about ECP.
Ah.
I think you're talking about ECP stands for external counterpulsation. That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh boy, am I a big fan of that. Yes.
I know you are, and I thought to myself, I may or may not be a candidate for that right now.
Oh, I think everybody should be considering themselves as a candidate. I say that all males over the age of 50 and females who are about 5 to 7 years postmenopausal, any one of those categories work for you?
Oh, I'm 77 years old.
There you go. I think that other category may work for you. Because the cardiovascular issue is one that you just can't avoid. We are all going to suffer the consequences of a lifetime's work of cardiovascular disease. When we leave the good earth, we're going to leave it more than likely from a cardiovascular event. So the idea of developing increased flow to any organ, heart, yes, but all other organs too, brain and liver and kidney and the like. The more blood you flow.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Could this help the brain too?
Oh yeah, I think that even though this ECP device was literally invented with the heart in mind, it cannot be just heart selective. I mean, it's not as though the heart only receives the benefit of developing those blood vessels, as you so adeptly picked up from my previous discussion.
Sure.
All the organs, all of them, develop brand new blood vessels, and they do so by virtue of a hormone. I'll mention it because, I mean, I think science needs to be boasted for whenever science has described why things happen. And the reason that you grow a brand new set of blood vessels around all these organs is because of the secretion of a hormone called VEGF, V-E-G-F.
Please again, please spell that.
The letters V-E-G-F is an acronym that stands for vascular endothelial growth factor, V-E-G-F. And blood vessels have the ability to secrete that hormone. They're doing so trying to accommodate a volume of blood being sent to it. When you're doing ECP, the legs are squeezed by very large blood pressure cuffs, and it forces all the blood above the waistline at each heartbeat. So, I mean, if you have a heart rate of 60 times a minute, 70 times a minute, a volume wave of blood is pushed upward into the central circulation 60 or 70 times a minute, whatever it might be.
May I don't want to interrupt you inappropriately, but I want to ask you a question.
Go.
This feeling about the legs being squeezed,
yeah.
I just feel like, how is that going to feel?
Oh, I have to tell you.
About it. I'm just like that. I'm just thinking, how's that going to feel?
I tell you, I came across a website. For those of you out there that are trying to look for a visual reference to help, I'm going to give you a website. And the website is vasomedical.com.
I'm writing it.
vasomedical.com. And I just came across it last week. It is one of the 3 companies that actually make an ECP device.
Okay.
And they did the best job of any of those companies on giving the public a good video, like it's 12 minutes long, on what ECP is. I think once you see that, you'll have your fears put to rest.
Okay.
You'll be able to see. I mean, I always compared the people that do ECP in my office as to a Kennywood pony ride, okay? And when they get off, I say, how'd the pony ride today, okay? And they sort of laugh and they chuckle. I will tell you that although it seems, oh my God, could I tolerate that? Is that really possible? Could I allow my legs to be squeezed like that?
That's what I felt.
An hour at a time. Yeah. 5 days a week for 35 treatments. You go, oh my God, is that possible? Well, I can tell you, and maybe this little final fact will at least put an exclamation point behind it for you. When I take a look into the ECP room and I watch and I'm observing the patients who are getting this procedure done,
Yes.
the majority of them are asleep.
Oh,
They just, because they're comfortable,
oh.
yes, they sort of get used to this squeeze and relax and squeeze and relax to the point where they just sort of drone it out and they end up falling asleep on their own. So if you can imagine anybody having difficulty, I mean, such difficulty so as to allow them to sleep, it should maybe put the fear factor to rest. Vasomedical.com. Hit that, ask to see the video, click on video, and you'll be able to see a 12-minute video, which I think is very good. I'm going to try to get it transferred over to a CD and actually play it in my office, because it really will be the visual reference that not just you, but many other people listening. Everybody. Okay?
One question more. An hour at a time, 5 days a week, how many weeks?
When you're approved, and it requires a referral from the cardiologist. We have our own cardiologist that comes here, and we get those referrals literally as he leaves that day, and as you're evaluated by him. You're approved for 35 treatments. This is insurance covered. It is FDA approved, and the 35 treatments can be exceeded if it needs to be, but it normally doesn't. And so it's 7 weeks. You do this for 7 weeks, and the ability to develop the new blood flows to all these organs, it can be done in no other way. I don't know of another way. VEGF, being what is being secreted by these blood vessels, is being secreted as a response to those large volumes of blood that are being forced into the central circulation at each beat. And that hormone, I just can't see what other phenomenon is going to cause it to be secreted as it is during ECP. So I can't say enough about it. Come on out and see me. You should take a look at this stuff.
I should call you and make an appointment.
Come on out here, make an appointment. We'll talk about all the cardiovascular aid as someone 70 years plus young would benefit from. But one of the things that we say is a real edge here, over and above what conventional medicine can do, is even though it was invented by conventional medicine, it's not used by conventional medicine. You can't find it. It's so hard to find cardiologists that actually have it in their office. I've said, and I will stand corrected, right now I know of 6 devices in the entire western Pennsylvania area, and I've got 2 of the 6.
Wow.
Wow.
So, I used to ride the bus from Butler to Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh now. And there used to be a doctor in Pittsburgh, in Butler. He was from another country. He used to send patients, and I'd see them on the bus, and they'd come down all the time. And then a van would pick them up and take them for this.
Oh, yeah. I've had access be constantly pulling into my parking lot, bringing patients and picking them up after it's over. Yeah, it's possible to get transported here.
One quick question. Let's say a person my age, 77, I noticed a little bit, but significant memory, where I'd have to pause a little. And to me, that's, you want to pay attention to that. I don't want that to get any worse.
Yeah, I got a bit to shed some light. I'll shed on that. One, if in fact the memory issue is due in any way to the beginning of the dreaded Alzheimer's, which everybody panics about, by the way, but you can't rule out the fact that it has a potential of actually being an early sign of Alzheimer's due to the deposition of amyloid plaque, not cholesterol plaque, but amyloid plaque.
Amyloid plaque.
Amyloid plaque.
On the brain, doctor?
In the blood vessels in the brain. That's correct.
Blood vessels
in the brain.
brain.
Now, I mention that because although through chelation therapy there is a sort of a Drano, if I can use the word appropriately, and you get the idea, there is sort of a Drano for cholesterol-laden plaque. There is no Drano for amyloid-laden plaque. That's why in the early days of using chelation as I did, I didn't see much change in those patients who were receiving chelation therapy because of memory issues. But the moment we started to use ECP And by virtue of the fact that we weren't removing any plaque, we were building brand new blood vessels. And we were able to service the brain with a blood supply by virtue of these new blood vessels that we didn't rely upon the amyloid-laden plaque vessels to be changed. No, the amyloid plaque was there. It stayed there. But their memories perked up and they came back. I saw some remarkable cases turn around by virtue of ECP. So I say to you, my goodness, come on down and see it. Anyone listening, go if you're a little concerned about that, as I think you are, Teresa, get to vasomedical.com and look at that video, a 12-minute video. I think it'll put that all to rest. You can see people they're actually receiving that procedure, and they're none the worse aware. And all the patients that come here, as I say, the majority of them just go to sleep while they're having this 1-hour procedure done. So
tell me quickly now where you are located. Now I usually have to take the bus from Pittsburgh, but I might be able to get a driver. Give me an idea, because
I always like to use the big checkpoints with you ladies. How's South Hills Village sound? Okay.
South Hills Village.
South Hills Village, a big shopping center along Route 19 in the southern part of the city. We're on Route 19, a little further down, about 3 or 4 miles down, past. Going south, past the South Hills Village complex. So, with that as a checkpoint, that's pretty good.
We should find it, and we can call your office.
Give us a call. We'll give you steers on in here. Wonderful question. Thanks for allowing me to answer it. I think not only does it help you, but I hope many who are listening out there.
I knew it would help many, for sure, and thank you a bunch.
Okay, you're welcome.
Keep it on.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Oh, wonderful question. And I hope that those of you out there, as we're advancing in years, this cardiovascular issue is going to be a big-time issue we're all going to confront ultimately, and we got to change some dates here. We have to have quality of life issues. We have to have longevity issues. Something's got to come in and change the equation. You can help with this, of course, with the diet and with exercise and all that. But there are 4 edges. One of them is called ECP that we provide here that I think you can't get anyplace else. You got this procedure is one that provides a whole bunch of benefit. Very difficult to find. We really enjoy the fact that we can bring that to you. So, wonderful question. As you see, we've opened it up to whatever's on your mind. 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Let's do this. Let's take another break. Maybe in the interim, someone else will call us up and ask a question about, well, whatever you want to ask a question about is okay with me. 412-825-6262. We will be back in a moment.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health, right here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on this Monday version of the show. We've opened them up in a way. We said, hey, look, come on in here. Give us a knock on the door. What's on your mind is will become on my mind and all the listeners' minds because you took the time to sort of drop it on us and let us respond. It could be a question. It could be a comment. It really doesn't matter. 412-825-6262. We'll get you on in here. Now, while I'm waiting for those knocks, I want to fill in a couple of gaps. Enjoyed, did you not, the shows that we did last week with Raymond Francis. He was with us on Wednesday and Friday. And Raymond, a man of science, MIT graduate in chemistry, who had his own life-altering, well, almost life-ending experience back in 1985 when going in the hospital as he did, he got all of the terrible side effects and repercussions of medical intervention. His liver was attacked by what he received in the hospital, as it could be with any single one of us, and he was pretty close to death. He did a turnaround. He changed what kind of treatment he would receive. He received no more medication. He got out of that hospital and looked back within the couple of years that ensued and used his scientific mind to come up with that equation of that led to his first book entitled Never Be Sick Again, in which an interesting formula emerged. That is, that there's only one disease, not thousands, not hundreds of thousands. This isn't a complicated thing. He said that cells go awry, cells don't work right, and that's the only disease that there is. Just name the zip code where the cells are, and you can pretty much predict what the symptoms may be. And the reason why this happens, he says, are only twofold. One, you have too little of something, which he calls his deficiency states, and number two, you have too much of something called toxicities, and between those two, they ultimately make the cells, provoke the cells not to function correctly. Now, that formula being spelled out, let's get a couple callers. We'll come back to the Raymond Francis formula and make it applicable to cancer, which is what we did last Wednesday and Friday. But we picked up with the next knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard. Hello.
Sir, Courtney?
Yes.
Yes. Forgive me if you've already answered this question because I just tuned into your program.
Go ahead.
At ECP.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned that the traditional system prefers, if they at all, to use ECP. They do it at the very end when everything else no longer works.
Yeah, you bring a very interesting point. That's true, that the way that the conventional community looks at this, that literally invented ECP, they put it at the very end, and I'll say that we're just the reverse of that. We'll put this at the very beginning if we need to, because we don't want patients to have things like, angiography, stents, bypass surgery. You got that? And so we say, look, we think, and I've seen hundreds of cases now, where you could remove the need for any of those critical interventions by doing ECP first. So it's played itself out that way in front of me for, I'm saying, 7 or 8 years now, and sure enjoy being able to see that kind of response in patients. So yes, they may put it at the end. We put it wherever we happen to find it, but we'll put it at the beginning if we can.
And the insurance companies accept that?
Yeah, because we have our cardiologists. Look, here's the interesting point. Let's say that you had significant enough coronary artery disease that you should have an angiogram and maybe a stent, okay? This would be the ideal setup that would lead the majority of people to do just that. However, if the cardiologist says, look, I see you got this going on here, and maybe we should do angiography, and you as a patient say, oh no, and by the way, my patients say this, I don't want angiography, I don't want stents, then all the cardiologist has to do is document that you have declined that kind of intervention, and by virtue of that, because you're the adult, you're the patient, you're the one that decides, you automatically can't have ECP, well, automatically the doors of ECP swing open for you, because you have decided what you're not going to do and decided what you are going to do, which is ECP. You see how that works?
Excellent.
Okay.
Now, may I ask you this?
Sure.
If in a case where you perform ECP early on for a person, is there then any type of care that you do as far as, shall we say, the old system that's in place and having the problem?
Well, the care that you would normally receive anyway, and I don't know if I completely understand the question, so if I misread what you're trying to get at, please either clarify it now or wait until I answer. But you deserve to be evaluated by a conventional means that gives you all of the recommendations that you should hear about. Like, what if you needed to be on a medicine according to the way a cardiologist might look at you? Okay. What if you should, according to a cardiologist, probably have an angiography and potentially a stent? Well, you can't ignore the fact that this might be in your best medical interest according to them, but so you'll get that recommendation. It's just we'll have the opportunity to talk about other options other than those, and you as a patient ultimately decide. Now, did I get to the crux of what your question was or not?
Actually, pardon me. Actually, what I'm wondering is, assuming a patient is early on and they've been, the angiogram and the stent has been or possibly recommended,
okay,
and through you, they have elected to do ECP,
okay,
but the original problem will persist and probably worsen. Is that, do we...
Oh, okay. Now look,
we don't need it anymore?
No. We happen to be talking today, because it just came up by one of the callers in, about one of the things we do here, which is reestablishing flows, okay? And I think it's just a marvelous thing that ECP can do that. But within the context of the entire program that we do here, we do so much more. We remove, essentially, I say, we do 4 things here that just don't get done any other place. So you might as well remember these 4 terms, and you understand our entire plan. Number 1, we have to change all the factors of inflammation. Inflammation of blood vessels. There are 8 things that float around in your blood. Any one of those 8 alone, let alone in combination, will damage the lining of blood vessels and lead to the formation of plaque. So we got to do that, all right? Number 2, we need to help remove that plaque. Plaque that is occluding a blood vessel, starting literally in men when we're as young as 18, and women usually postmenopausally. But chelation therapy is a way to remove that plaque and get yourself in a situation where additional years of life are restored to you, because the normal process that was going to go on is intervened upon by use of chelation therapy. Flow, that's the 3rd word, is completely catered to by the use of ECPs. We've talked about that this morning. And then finally, eliminating clots. Clots cause events, and you have to break them up, have to be able to devise mild clot-busting approaches. Everything I've just told you now is supported by a book written by 2 well-known cardiologists. The name of the book is Reversing Heart Disease Now. It's written by James Roberts, MD, from Toledo, and Dr. Stephen Sinatra. These 2 very new-aged and very progressive cardiologists have documented everything that I've just told you about and put it in a way that you can see there's additional literature available for you to read that will support why we think that this program, this four-prong approach, is probably the best edge you have with cardiovascular disease and not allowing it to progress at the rate it was going to. We can't cure you of it. This, unfortunately, is genetically driven and environmentally acquired and all that, and so, but we certainly can intervene and turn the clock back, and that is worth an awful lot. Did I answer your question now?
That answered my question completely. That's
okay.
Exactly what I needed to hear. And I do have the book. I need to read it.
You have a book
about ECP, and that is when you talk about the fog lifting from Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Of the new oxygen flow to the brain. I would take it then that anything less than Alzheimer's, such as the gradual forgetfulness, probably lifts also.
Well, and the take is the what you just said, oxygenation of tissue, any tissue, and of course, brain is the most oxygen-sensitive tissue you own. Anything that you can do to bring more oxygen to wherever the area is, brain included, well, you're the better for it. And by developing new blood flows, I mean significantly new blood flows. Let me lay, I think, an interesting statistic on you, because I watch this and I listen to this, and it blows my mind every time I say it. If I could take, and it's the arteries that we're worried about here, and that's what ECP helps to build, not the veins. But if I could take end of one of the arteries in your body and just start walking, okay, sort of unraveling you, do you know how far I would walk before we completely unraveled you of all of your arteries? Get a guess?
I do not.
How about 80,000 miles? That's just staggering to me. That you have 80,000 miles of pipe, okay? Now, that's just 80,000 miles of artery. I don't know how many times around that equator that really is, but it's just unbelievable to think that you have that many arteries. By the way, you've got that many veins, too, so you know 80,000 miles of veins, which are not the critical structures that we're talking about, because veins carry blood away from tissue, arteries carry blood toward it. Now, although it's an estimate, and I have no way of knowing if the estimate's correct, but what I keep hearing is that when you do ECP, because it's a microscopic vessel, that's why there's 80,000 miles of them. There's the big arteries branch, and they keep branching, and they go from bigger to smaller to smaller to smaller until finally they're not even visible with the naked eye. They're microscopic. So when you're unraveling the microscopic as well as the easily visualizable. But 80,000 miles worth is a considerable amount. In ECP, get a load of this. You double it. You double the miles. This is phenomenal, and it's because that microvasculature, it's the most important real estate of the vasculature, not the big arteries. It's the microvasculature that has intimate contact between a blood vessel and a cell. And it's where the exchange of that oxygen you mentioned a while ago actually takes place. It does not take place between the walls of a big artery and anything. It only takes place at the microscopic vessels called the capillary, and that's what ECP builds up a network of. Hope I answered your question now.
Very good. And if I may, one last question on a different subject.
Sure.
In one of your last programs with Raymond Francis,
okay,
that he was 73 years old, but had the arteries, I believe, of a
the Doppler
year-old. He said that he knows that because he measures them.
That's right.
How does it take place?
Well, and a question, and whenever he mentioned, I think I knew what he was talking about, but I failed to ask that question. But a very interested caller called in and said, hey, you said you could measure it. How did you measure it? Well, what he uses, and what we actually use here in our office when our cardiologist comes, is a Doppler. It's a non-invasive device. It's literally a probe you place. We usually place it 3 places: the neck, the groin, and behind the knee. These are 3 areas where arteries are very close to the surface of the skin, and therefore the probe can actually determine how much occlusion is in those vessels. And so when we do Dopplers, and we have been doing them for years, and Raymond Francis, having had them done, was telling about his status of his vessels, we find an occlusion factor. We'll get the results back, and it may say there's 20% of occlusion, or there's 40% occlusion, or there's 60% occlusion. Well, Raymond was saying he had the arteries of a teenager, I think, because he had very little and minimal plaque, and that's why he claimed he had the arteries of such a young person. And that's how you measure it, and it's easily enough done by science without any invasiveness at all.
And is that to be found in the offices of traditional medicine doctors?
Those who do the work of I know that the cardiology community frequently uses it. Hey, as a non-cardiologist, I would request that study to be done all the time. It should be easily enough findable. Unfortunately, what happens is sometimes the doctors send their patients to the hospitals and the radiology departments, although it's not a radiographic procedure, to get them done, because they certainly do have Doppler devices there. I will say that you should probably think about being evaluated here in the office, because all those devices come to my office with our cardiologist 2 times a month. So everything, I like Dr. Camino's coming here with his whole team, because in about 3 to 4 hours, you can accomplish all the testing, of which Doppler is only one, all the testing that would take about 4 days in a hospital, because, you know, they only do right kidney, left kidney, I only do this part, that part. Here, his technicians come in, and it's like a Chinese fire drill around here when they pull up, because they've run so much equipment in here, but it works very well. I cannot find any place that's able to do such advanced testing and blood work and an evaluation by a cardiologist in such a compressed period of time, 3 to 4 hours. It's unbelievable.
Unfortunately, I'm 1,000 miles away.
Oh my goodness!
Otherwise, you would have seen me prior to this.
All right. Well, you'll be able to get these in your backyard if you find a cardiologist that will do an evaluation of you. Ask for you want an echocardiogram of the heart, and you want Dopplers of the neck, the groin, and the thigh, and he'll order them for you. He'll probably, in the worst case scenario, have to send you to the hospital to get them done. In the best case scenario, he may have that equipment right there in his office. You may want to ask him if he could do that in his office before you go to visit him.
Very good. You've
Okay.
been very helpful, Dr. Courtney.
Thank you so much. Okay. A lot of questions today about ECP. Hey, I can understand the interest. I'm happy to see that interest, and I'm so glad that we got those questions, and hopefully we piqued your interest. I will say once again that stumbled, as I did last week, over a website. There are about 3 companies that make these ECP devices. One of the companies, in fact, the original company is called Vaso Medical. And Vaso Medical has a pretty good website. I don't know when they developed this. They've always had a website, but they have new graphics and a new video on their website. I thought that the video explained ECP very well, so I would recommend that anyone out there who wants to get more comfortable with ECP, maybe just as the first patient mentioned, you know, geez, can I really handle that? Is that something I can actually do? Go on to this website, www.vasomedical.com, and then click on the video and watch that 12-minute video. And I think that whatever fears or mystique or whatever is sort of clouding this issue, it will be illuminated so clearly that I think it'll put a lot of those fears to rest. vasomedical.com. Hey, we're here with you today, 412-825-6262. Let you on in the store. Anybody else out there? Any callers? Hello?
Yes, good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Oh, go right ahead.
Quick question, follow-up on the ECP.
Sure.
How well would that work with a stroke victim?
Boy, it would work to be able, and of course with strokes, how much of the neurological tissue is lost is always up for grabs. And I believe the best way to put this is that when you have a stroke, the old way of looking at it, and I sure hope it's the old way, because it certainly wasn't the correct way. You could do a study of the brain, and you could actually see and point to the family could take a look, and the doctor would say, you see that dark circle right there? That indicates where the stroke was. And all this area right here is now lost. Do you have a visual of that? You got that in your mind right now?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was always incorrect, and it was never questioned or challenged. As it turns out, if you look at that darkened area as if it were a target, meaning that there's a direct center, sort of like the cork of a dartboard, the dead center is neural tissue that is dead and that will never come back. But it's a small area. It's not a very large area at all. And as you move away from the center, concentric circles emerge where the neurons are not all dead. Some of them are dead, but some of them are on idle. And the further away you move from the dead center, the more neurons are on idle. They're not functioning. It appears as though if it involves speech or involves the right side, the left side of the movement of the body, that these areas aren't working. But the good news is, and the message is, that they are revivable, that those neurons are able to be brought back to full functioning if the right amount of oxygenation occurs. Well, guess what? One of the things would be to help reoxygenate these neurons that are on idle. I say ECP would be a perfect way in order to do that. So,
The insurance would not cover something like that, though.
well, but see, normally I'd have to tell you that you don't have a stroke just out of the clear blue sky. Usually there is a cardiovascular basis for how the stroke occurred.
Well, this was because of a result of an auto accident.
Well, let's take a look. I mean, during the study of a patient where we do Dopplers and do all these other things, if we find a firm basis for cardiovascular disease, it absolutely could be a covered service. So don't hesitate to explore this by fear that you're going to be rejected. You won't necessarily have that happen.
He's 43 years old. Would hyperbaric oxygen in conjunction?
In conjunction. Now you're really talking there. But in conjunction with ECP, hyperbaric oxygen would be a great parallel therapy to increase oxygenation and get those neurons off of idle and back to functioning again. And this new way of looking at stroke, I hope is providing you with a bit of hope, and especially to the patient this may have occurred to that the dismal discussion previously that is entertained by neurologists and neurosurgeons alike, I got to tell you, I hope that they're not using that approach anymore, but it could be, because they continue to say, well, this is now lost. We're not going to be able to get that function back, when in fact none of these therapies have been used to get the neurons off of idle, and there's so much possibility and potential. But once you got them off idle, to restore neurological function, that not to do it is the big mistake.
Your office, you're about 4 miles south of South Hills Village.
That's right.
I know you said you're south of Boyce Road. You're somewhere around, was it Valley or Valley View Drive or something?
Valley Brook.
Valley Brook. Something.
Oh my, if you make it to Valley Brook, you've gone 200 yards too far.
Is there a red light there at Valley?
There's a red light right there at Valley Brook. Don't back up because you're going to have trouble. Just turn right around and come off the hill. We're the third building as you go back towards South Hills Village on the right from that red light that you just talked about at Valley Brook Road.
All right, thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, more questions on ECP. Wonderful. I enjoyed talking about it, and glad that you called up. 412-825-6262. Yes, ECP will restore and has potential to take stroke patients and be able to, you need to revascularize. If you just got oxygen alone, you would be helped. But if you get oxygen in conjunction with the proliferation of new blood vessels, then you're talking about the equation that could get those neurons off of idle, this new word idle, they're not dead, they're just not working, and to get them off of idle and functioning again is the medical trick. By the way, after a stroke, 7 to 10 years, you have 7 to 10 years to be able to take the neurons that aren't dead, they're just on idle, they are restorable up to 7 to 10 years after the event. That's quite a large window, is it not? 412-825-6262. Got a few minutes left. Probably should bring this discussion of cancer to a close today. We could talk more about it on Wednesday if you like. Look, the formula used by Raymond Francis was one of toxicity and deficiency. These are the two components that cause any disease. And in keeping with that, cancer being another disease meets the formula. Cells don't function right. In this case, they go haywire. They have a metabolic rate that has no controls. But what led to that happening, according to Raymond, is deficiency states and toxicity states over a lifetime. A couple things I'll mention because I talked to Raymond off air. I think this was important information that didn't make it over to you, the listener, on Wednesday or Friday. Number one, if you have cancer, need professional help to be able to pull off a treatment program that will work. That you cannot just eat better and like do coffee ground enemas on your own and think that you're going to be able to win when it comes to this cancer issue. Raymond didn't emphasize that. He certainly emphasized it to me when we were off air. Number two, I hear patients oftentimes, and they go to the internet, and they come in here and they want to talk about this therapy and that therapy, and it, to me, appears as though, they're moving right along the Raymond Francis formula, which is dealing with juicing and nutrition, as well as detoxifying, not just through enemas, but a whole host of ways of doing it, and I would support every one of them. But what didn't come out with that interview with Raymond, and I think we have to make emphasis on, is the same question I asked those patients. Besides great nutrition and taking care of toxicity, I asked them, where's the beef? What I mean by that is, where's the cytotoxic component? Something has to actually kill that tumor, and if you do not have a cytotoxic component, then you don't have a therapy that can work, in my opinion. Okay, it's time to get on out of here. Bongos in the background, big sounding horns going on. Look, thank you very much for making the show work today. We'll be looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.